Press record. Oh, I'm a bit
Ooh.
right. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Jill, for joining us to talk about being an introvert and visibility and all that. So, Jill, tell us about you and your business, and how did you start your business?
Yeah, okay. So I am the founder and director of The Thoughtful Leader, which is a leadership coaching company, but specifically designed to help those kind of introverted women in leadership roles, or those that are aspiring, I should say, to be leaders, to really kind of understand their unique strengths so that they can lead with more confidence, more passion, and in a more authentic way, rather than feeling the need to kind of wear that extroverted mask. And I often see that women in those leadership roles, because 9 times out of 10, they are more of that extroverted personality. They tend to compare themselves a lot to, those extroverted colleagues, and try to emulate what they're doing because they believe that's the only way they can kind of succeed, really. So why did I get into business? So basically, in my job at the time, I had got basically quite burnt out at the end of 2021. I had taken on far too much work. I was doing more work as a part-timer than a full-time person. I was just, saying yes to things, taking too much on, and just got completely burnt out, and sort of thought to myself, I can't do this forever. And I'd already been coaching as part of my role anyway. So I had kind of noticed a bit of a limitation in myself in terms of public speaking and delivering presentations. They'd make me feel quite uncomfortable, and I kind of shied away from it a bit. So I just kind of identified really that I needed to develop in that area. So put myself forward for kind of a leadership coaching and facilitation role. And actually, from doing that, I realized that by putting that preparation in advance, I actually quite enjoyed presenting, especially if it's on something that you're really passionate about as well. And as I say, as part of that experience, I developed this new passion for coaching, and I'd always really loved training. And I just found that coaching was a natural transition in that it's, developing people. That's what my passion is, developing other people and helping them to be their best self, really. And so that kind of coaching space really helped to kind of deliver that. And so when I had that burnout at the end of 2021, it was like, right, something needs to change. I can't continue doing this forever. And so that's when I was like, right, I'd love to go into that coaching space more. And in terms of why introverts, it's because I'm an introvert myself. And I have worked for large organizations for many years, and have lived and breathed all of those unique challenges that us as introverts face in, those kind of large businesses that are effectively set up for extroverts, those kind of open plan offices, etc. So it's more about, for me, I kind of see people, or see introverted women being overlooked for those promotion opportunities. And actually, as an introvert, you have some really great leadership strengths. And I think that they're quite overlooked at work. And what happens is, it tends to be those more extroverted people who are more outspoken that tend to get those leadership roles, just because that is almost they're louder. Exactly. They shout about their successes. And it's just that kind of bias as to what a leader looks like. It's that, more kind of outspoken, kind of commanding a crowd almost. Whereas as an introvert, you actually have some really excellent qualities for leadership, and you would get more out of your staff and out of your team because of that, rather than that kind of directive sort of leadership that you may get more with someone who's a bit more outspoken.
So tell us a bit more, what defines an introvert person? What are the characteristics? I think I probably got a few of them, but yeah.
Well, so I mean, the definition, if you Google introversion, I think there's still so many negative connotations to what an introvert is. and it's about a wallflower, quiet, reticent, all these things. And it's like, well, no, that isn't what an introvert is. An introvert is all about energy levels. And it's about how you lose energy and how you gain energy. So as an introvert, you might wake up in the morning and you feel quite energized because you've had some time on your own, you're rested. And then as you go about your day, with each kind of social interaction that you have, you lose energy. It takes more of your energy. Yeah. And if you don't kind of keep those energy levels up, by the end of the day, you could be actually like running on fumes. And in order to build those energy levels up, you need time on your own. It's about going kind of having that, introspective time, spending time on your own, doing things you like. That could be reading books, listening to music, whatever that might be for you. Whereas an extrovert may wake up actually feeling a bit more drained because they've been on their own a lot more, and they get their energy from being around other people and bouncing ideas off of people, and having that banter, etc. So they get their energy, and their energy is topped up by having those social interactions, and actually being on their own tends to drain their energy a lot more. So that's the only difference really in terms of what an introvert is and what that looks like. It's not about, social anxiety or, just not wanting to talk to people in general. It is just about how you manage your energy levels, and how you get them back up.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely that. But it's weird because I wouldn't have associated the fact that, for example, I know that I need time on my own to recharge, but I wouldn't have put that onto associated it with being an introvert.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really it's very, very interesting. I love that. And it's kind of my my card to say, yes, it's all right, it's the way I
Yeah.
function, and that's what I need. So there we
Absolutely.
go. So it's nothing,
Yeah.
it's nothing wrong with that. It's just how we manage
Absolutely.
the day, and oh, love it.
Yeah. And it's about how you manage your energy throughout that day. And I sort of talk about sort of micro boosters and things that are going to take you longer to boost your energy levels. And it's just about how you set your day up to ensure that you've kind of got those activities that build up your energy levels sort of scattered throughout your day. So if you know that you've got meetings, for example, it's about making sure that you've got gaps between those meetings, because if you're going from back to back meetings, it's just drains you, and you go into that next one thinking, I don't even know what this meeting's about, I'm not prepared for it. And so therefore you're going to be even less likely to speak up in that kind of scenario, because you're just thinking, why am I here? What's it all about?
Yeah.
So it's just about making sure that if there is work that lifts you up and that you really enjoy, it's about making sure that you put that within your day at certain points to just lift your energy level, so that you're not getting to the end of the day and you're completely exhausted, and then you're going home to your kind of family with really nothing left in the tank. And that's when you're not really then present at home, because you're just exhausted and all you want to do is have time on your own. And if you've got young kids at home like me, you end up like, just get into bed, come on, go to bed, and then you don't have that energy to even spend a bit of time with them, because you're just like, I just need to be on my own, I need to just rest and think about nothing and just decompress from the day effectively. So by keeping those energy levels up, that's you're going to be better at home then as well in your personal life.
So that's one great tip. What other tips would you have for us then? So be careful. We should manage our energy levels and be careful on how we plan our day, kind of thing. What other tips would you have for us?
Mm-hmm. So another thing that my clients tend to have quite a lot is that difficulty in speaking up in meetings. And in those kind of situations, what introverts tend to do is they either kind of, when they come in, they sit right at the back of the room so they can escape when they want to. And they know that they should be speaking up in those meetings, but they really kind of struggle to do that. So in those sort of situations, it's really about that preparation in advance. So, if you're going into a meeting, it's about reading the agenda in advance, really picking out some important aspects of that where you can sort of research it, really kind of get to grips with what your opinion is. So, as an introvert, our kind of thought patterns take a longer path than extroverts. And so that's why we need more time to generate what our opinion is on something or our ideas. And we often want to hear other people's before we kind of come up with our own. So that's a really good way of doing that in advance, so that you're not then put on the spot and thinking, oh, I've got our answer and I don't really know what my thoughts on that are. So just doing that preparation in advance, doing a little bit of research, jotting those notes down, so then when you go into that meeting, you feel much more prepared, and it's going to enable you to feel more comfortable about speaking up. And instead of sitting at the back, sit closer to the front, because then when you do speak up, you've got far less distance for your voice to travel. And also then you're not got everyone sort of turning around and all eyes on you, because you're actually at the front and so everyone's behind you. So you don't have that kind of pressure as well. Is a good one. And just trying to sort of speak up within the first 5 minutes as well, because that takes that pressure off of you, rather than you sitting there thinking, oh, I've got to say something, and I don't know what I'm going to say. Actually, by speaking up within those first kind of 5 minutes, it sees you you get seen then as a contributor from the start, but it also just calms you down because you've spoken. And even if that is just getting clarity on something, or validating someone else's point, it just means that you then feel, actually, I'm a bit more calmer, a bit more comfortable. I've kind of said my piece, and it wasn't that bad, and I can bring up the right ideas and opinions as we go along.
Brilliant.
That's a big one.
Yeah, I would have never, it would have never come, I would have never thought about sitting at the front so that no one would turn around to look at me, kind of thing. I love that. Next time I'm going to be front row, most definitely.
Yeah, it's funny because nobody likes sitting at the front, do they? Everyone kind of hangs at the back.
That's it. But then when you rephrase it, it's so much, it makes so much sense. So the other thing I've noticed, introverts, well, maybe me, there's the tendency to please people. So then, there's no big waves, to make it, but then to the point where it actually sucks up your energy and makes you kind of regret to have been a people pleaser. What's your thought on that? What's your take on it? And have you got tips to stop that?
Combat it. Yeah, I mean, people pleasing definitely is something that led to my burnout in 2021. Always saying yes to things, even though inside you're going, no, you can't do this, you don't have the time to do it. And that all stems from that kind of wanting to be liked, not wanting to what's the word, not wanting to let people down, and not wanting people to kind of think less of you as well. And it is a tricky thing to have, and it, as you say, it really kind of leads you feeling exhausted, irritated, burnt out. And it's that not wanting to say no to somebody, and kind of then thinking, oh, if I say no, then someone's going to think, oh, they're not being very helpful, have they? So it's all about combating that and seeing it slightly differently, because it's about, you've got to put yourself first, because if you don't, all you're doing is affecting your own mental health in the long run, because you're exhausting yourself, which eventually is going to lead to that burnout, potentially depression, and just those feelings of resentment towards that person, because you have taken stuff on, and they will continue to give you more things if you keep saying yes, because they know then, oh yeah, oh, Jill's that person that's always says yes, we'll go to her because she's not going to turn around to me and say no. So they're not thinking about your best interests and how you're feeling, because if you take it on, it's your fault because you said you could do it. So the best thing really is about having those boundaries in place and verbalizing those as well. So it is about, well, this is how much work I can take on, and it's about working at the pace that's comfortable for you as well. And by having those boundaries in place, it isn't a selfish thing. Because if you think about it, if you're always thinking about other people, and as introverts we tend to do that because we pick up on those social cues, we pick up on the room as you kind of go in, and if you're doing that for people all the time, who's kind of looking after you? Who's doing that for you? And that's where that kind of resentment comes in. So it has to start with you. You have to have those boundaries in place, protect your own energy levels. If there are people that really suck your energy levels, it's about, right, okay, well, either I need to be away from those people, or I need to limit my my capacity around them, because otherwise, as you say, it's just going to affect your mental health. So it's about putting those boundaries in place, not feeling guilty for having those boundaries, and also realizing that no is a full sentence. So it's like you don't need to keep backing it up, right? It's, can you do this? No, I'm sorry, I can't. Because as you start kind of going, oh, well, what do you need? I might be able to fit it in. You're almost backtracking on yourself. You're giving them more of an inroad to just be like, actually, it's not going to take very long because you just do it. And then you're kind of tracking and going, oh, do you know what? Okay, I'll do it. So as soon as you start putting in those excuses as to why you can't do it, it's giving that other person that opportunity to actually go, I think you could probably fit it in here if you just did that. So it's it's about knowing that no is a full sentence, and don't kind of just give all those excuses as to why you're saying no. And also, if you're in a situation where you're kind of put on that spot about making a decision about something, so if someone said to you, oh, can you take this on? Can you take this work on? Instead of making that decision there and then, it's about actually saying, I just need to check my schedule and I'll come back to you. So you don't have to make that decision there and then, because if you do, you're automatically going to put yourself in a worse off situation and give yourself way too much to do. So having that little break gives you that time to think about, okay, how can I do this? How could I respond to it so that it doesn't feel to me like I'm letting somebody down? And that then response could be in an email or something, which you might feel more comfortable with rather than a phone call. But it just gives you that little bit of breathing space to just check your schedule. Could I fit that in? Rather than answering straight away. So those are my kind of 3 main tips, really, about how to try to combat that people pleasing.
Hey, we've got Jennifer joining us. Brilliant. So so it's the people pleasing and hello. And also,
hi Jennifer.
Also the fear of not being liked because we say no. That's kind of a big issue. But also, do you find, can people be partly introverted and partly extroverted? Do you have people who can be like,
yeah, absolutely,
a bit of both? So that's more confusing.
And that we tend, it's like a continuum of introversion, extroversion, and everywhere is somewhere on that scale. You're not fully introvert or fully extrovert, and those kind of more in the middle personalities are what we call an ambivert. So that's where sort of in some instances you might be more introverted, and others you might actually be quite happy and more extroverted. So yeah, it's certainly you're not all one way almost.
Keely or Jennifer, would you like to ask some questions to Jill? Do you actually identify as being an introvert? Does it resonate with you?
Not really. I think oh, sorry.
Hey, Karen. Right.
I think I'm both, to be honest. Depending on the situation, I switch between, not consciously, sometimes it is, but most of the time I switch between the two. So there are moments where a family member, he's famous for saying, that's the extroverted person in you coming out. And there are moments where I'm very, like I tell people I'm very laid back, and most of the time people laugh. I'm like, no, you're not laid back. I'm like, no, I am on certain things. I really
Don't
am.
push me though.
But
What about
But
And that's
yes,
it. When
yes.
it's
So
something you're
I'm not
passionate
the one that
about,
is
that's when that kind of extroversion comes out. My husband will tell you that I'm not introverted in any way, shape, or form. But it all depends on the situation that you are in. And obviously when you're with your, your closer friends and relatives, you will come across very differently to when you're with a room of people that you don't actually know.
Yeah.
So
what about you, Keely? How does that resonate with you then?
I think I resonate more with it being introverted bit as I've got older. And definitely with the time of the month, that massively affects me. It's that like retreat thing. Retreat. No, I can't do it. So it does make a big difference and to me. And I hate when you were talking about people pleasing and like saying no. I say to my husband all the time, tell them you'll let them know. Stop saying yes.
yeah.
Just drives me mad. And it also annoys me when women feel like they have to justify themselves all the time. There has to be a reason. It's none of their business.
No.
It's just, and I have learned that. That's a big thing to learn. But actually, it doesn't matter.
No.
I know myself better than you do. So go away.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And it is about having that authenticity of working in a way that feels right to you as well, rather than just because someone else doesn't work in that particular way. And I use that kind of pace of working as a good example, because it would, at work, it would take me longer to do things because I'm more thorough and I just wanted to make sure that I'm doing things right first time. Whereas other people would rush through things. There'd be lots of mistakes in what they've done. And then someone else has got to pick all of that up and then it's got to be changed. So
That's as much time used as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's about working in a way that is right for you so that you're not trying to be someone that you're not, that's effectively going to make you feel more anxious and going forwards and potentially having that burnout if you're trying to work in a different way than what feels right for you. So
being confident in how
I think,
you are, isn't it?
Jennifer?
Knowing yourself well enough to sorry.
Yeah.
I think there's got to be a recognition, especially when you're working in a team or reporting to someone, about the different, not maybe dynamics isn't the right word, but like we're all different, we all approach things different. Like you say, somebody will do it faster, somebody will be a bit more of a reflector and take their time because they really want to make sure that they get it right. But I think when you're not aware of the personalities and the approaches, you can have a clash. And it can lead
absolutely,
because the opportunity is not being allowed for individuals to bring themselves to the table in the right way. So I may get frustrated because you just hurry and get things done, but in that you're not paying attention to detail. So in the end, what you're doing is creating a lot more work. And if my boss is somebody that will give you things last minute, but the minute they give it to you, they want you to turn it around. Again, they're not taking on board the fact that I need to process things, or I process things at a much slower pace. So something that would take someone 10 minutes, it may take me an hour. But it's okay, because the point is the outcome, isn't it?
Yeah.
So by giving me something to do, I think, you've got to make allowance for the person you're asking to do the work. And maybe you also need to take ownership to plan a little bit more, so that you're not giving somebody something with a little time to do it, especially if you're that person that likes to do things really quickly. I think everybody's running the 100 meters race. Well, maybe have allowance for the fact that some people maybe running along and maybe doing a long run, so that especially when you're in a position of authority, you don't want the person to feel as if they're less than competent because they're not moving in sync with the pace that you're setting. That's one thing when you're in. But the second is the people you're working the team with, especially if it's a collective effort. I think we all need to adjust and make rooms. But it doesn't often happen. Even when teams have been formed for ages, it doesn't. And as a HR person, I've seen far more than my fair share of conflicts that had led to investigation. You're thinking, gosh, if you're just taking a moment
to get to know your staff. It's the biggest one. Communication.
Judging people on your own standards, a lot of it, isn't it? And you forget not to. It's the expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally it, really. Guys, as well, I mean, Jennifer, you've probably seen it maybe before, but I've put in the chat the details of Jill, as well as her a lead magnet to get more information about being an introvert and how we can overcome that, or I suppose not overcome, but more how we deal with it in the right way.
Be aware of it.
Yeah,
exactly.
because
Yeah.
you know, if we turn it around and see it as a superpower, then it's a lot better, because that's what makes us who we are as individuals and
Unique.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing when I speak to clients about it. They a lot of the time have felt like it's a weakness. Being an introvert's a weakness, whereas they don't realize all the strengths that come with that, their calmness, you know, they're empathetic, and their desire to develop their staff and get to know them. Like you said, Jennifer, knowing your staff is a massive it has a massive impact on people, because it makes you feel like you belong somewhere, that someone's taken the time to get to know you, that you're heard, that you're valued. And if you can do that, and that you know that your staff work a specific way or a certain way, or they've got certain strengths,
you achieve a lot more, don't you?
They're going to work harder for you. You're going to utilize them better, and they're going to work harder for you, because they know that you know that you give them that leeway, and that you understand how they work. So that's why, you know, I feel like introversion, in terms of leadership, there are some really excellent qualities, and it's just about reframing your mindset around
and using
how you look at that, rather than
thinking
it's a weakness, because
so
it's
much, my darling. I'm really sorry, but we're running out of
It's a simple
time.
sign, isn't it? Oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
But you'll be able to watch the replay, and the thoughtful leader, Jill. Just check her out, follow her on LinkedIn and all the other platforms. And thank you for your time. And
no
au revoir. And
Thank you.
Let's have a break and recharge on the energies.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.